He shielded her from gunfire. Days later, her king returned with an offer no human expected. The Viridian Hub arena stank of sweat and blood. Riker Stone didn't hear the 12,000 screaming spectators anymore. 3 years fighting in pits across 6 systems had taught him to focus on what mattered, the 7-foot insectoid warrior circling him with bladed forearms that could punch through steel. They called him the Ghost. He fought like smoke, there one moment, somewhere else the next. The insectoid lunged, mandibles clicking. Riker dropped low, swept its legs. It crashed hard. His knee drove into the joint where exoskeleton met softer tissue, fists slamming twice into the neural cluster behind its head. The insectoid went limp. The crowd erupted. Riker stood slowly, rolling his shoulders. Victory meant prize money. Prize money meant another 6 months before he had to think about what came after. The crack of weapons fire cut through the roar. Combat instincts fired before thought. His eyes snapped to the upper stands, 3 muzzle flashes from the VIP section. The trajectory painted itself in his mind with cold precision. He followed the line of fire and saw her. Blue hair caught the arena lights like colored flame. She stood frozen, her pale face turned toward the shooters, strange blue ears flat against her skull. Simple clothes, but something in how she held herself spoke of grace even in terror. Plasma rounds were already in flight. Riker moved. His body launched across 10 feet of space. He hit her at full speed, wrapping himself around her as they fell. The first round burned through his shoulder into muscle, the second caught his ribs, the third grazed his back, setting nerve endings on fire. They crashed together, his body taking the impact. The world tilted. He smelled burned flesh and something else, clean and cold like winter wind through pine forests. Her face was inches from his, eyes bright blue, inhumanly bright, cat-like features delicate and alien, her hands pressed against his chest where blood spread between their bodies. "Why?" she whispered, her accent musical and strange. His mouth tasted like copper. Words wouldn't come. Armored figures in unfamiliar uniforms pushed through the chaos toward them. She looked at them, then back at him. Something passed behind those eyes. Decision, regret. They lifted her away. He tried to hold on, but his hands wouldn't grip. She hesitated between 2 guards, reached down and touched his face. Said something soft that sounded like goodbye. Then she was gone. Medical personnel swarmed over him. Before darkness took him, he caught the ghost of that winter forest scent. 3 days in medical. Plasma burns that should have killed him. Hub security asked questions, delivered expected conclusions, woman unknown, shooters escaped, footage corrupted. They offered prize money with a trauma bonus. Riker took it. He was signing discharge papers when alarms started. Deep, resonant tones. An announcement crackled. Diplomatic lockdown in effect. Through his window, space rippled. Jump signatures. A fleet emerging from faster-than-light transit. Ships materialized. Sleek warships bearing designs Riker recognized, the Vulparan Empire, military superiority, and extreme isolationism. They didn't visit hub stations. Till now. 15 capital ships. This was a show of force. His medical bay door opened. Guards entered first, ornate armor marking elite training. They positioned themselves, weapons ready. Then he walked in. The Vulparan king stood over 7 feet tall, silver fur tracing patterns along his forearms and neck. Feline features aged and hardened by time, pale gold eyes fixed on Riker with predator intensity. "Riker Stone," the king said, perfect human standard. "I am Tiberius Velshara, sovereign of the Vulparan throne world." Riker stayed seated. Standing felt like offering deference he hadn't decided to give. "Your Majesty." Tiberius smiled slightly. 3 days ago you placed yourself between plasma fire and my daughter. This action has been noted. Daughter, the blue-haired woman, princess. Is she safe? Something flickered in Tiberius's expression. Astrid is well, thanks to you. The assassins sought to eliminate her before the trials of Ascension. They failed. The trials. You are familiar? Every soldier knows the stories, Riker said. Combat games every century. Winners get elevated council status. Accurate. Tiberius moved closer. Humanity holds no council seat. Your species has no voice in galactic policy. You are, in the eyes of the galaxy, irrelevant. Facts didn't care about feelings. The trials begin in 2 months, Tiberius continued. 12 species will send champions. Victory means a century of elevated status. Defeat means diminishment or worse. And you're telling me this because? Because my daughter has chosen you as her champion. Silence stretched. Outside, a Vulparan warship drifted past, weapons batteries visible. I'm human, not Vulparan. Astrid is aware she chose you regardless. Tiberius clasped his hands behind his back. You will be transported to our throne world. You will train with the princess. You will fight as her champion. Should you achieve victory, humanity will be granted its first council seat. And if I refuse? The temperature dropped. Tiberius's smile didn't reach his eyes. You understand strategic realities. You have seen my daughter's face, witnessed an assassination attempt on Vulparan royalty. Refusal would necessitate alternative arrangements. Come willingly or disappear quietly. But there was something else in Tiberius's expression, a test, waiting to see if this human had spine. Riker thought about her. Astrid, those impossible eyes, the way she touched his face like he was something precious she couldn't keep. Winter forests. She'd chosen him. Tiberius's smile reached his eyes. Excellent. We depart within the hour. The king moved toward the door, then paused. My daughter is the finest warrior I have trained. She is also bound by traditions that forbid her from competing herself. She has spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Do not disappoint her. I won't. She has placed her honor in your hands. Then he was gone, leaving Riker alone with a choice already made. He looked at his hands, steady despite plasma burns. Soldiers' hands that had pulled a princess from a sniper's crosshairs without hesitation. Outside, the Vulparan fleet waited. Somewhere aboard those ships, a blue-haired princess who smelled like winter was waiting. She'd chosen him as her champion, her gamble on humanity's worth. He intended to find out why. The Vulparan warship made the hub station look like a child's toy. Riker walked through corridors that spoke of a civilization that had perfected war as an art form. Sleek lines, efficient design, no wasted space. The guards escorting him moved with silent efficiency. They'd given him new clothes, combat-grade synthetics that felt expensive against his healing skin. The plasma burns still ached, but Vulparan medical technology had accelerated the worst of the healing. The ship's architecture changed as they descended deeper. Less military, more palatial. His guards stopped at massive double doors, gestured for him to enter alone. The training hall stretched out before him like a cathedral dedicated to violence. Weapons lined the walls in organized racks. At the far end, floor-to-ceiling windows showed the blue-white tunnel of jump space flowing past. She stood in the center, her back to him. Astrid wore fitted combat gear that left her arms bare, revealing pale skin marked with scars. Her blue hair was pulled back in a tight braid, exposing those distinctive ears, the predatory grace in how she held herself. She didn't turn as he approached. You accepted quickly, she said. Didn't seem like I had much choice. There is always choice. Now she turned, those blue eyes meeting his, colder than he remembered. You could have refused, accepted whatever consequences followed. You're welcome, by the way. Something flickered across her expression. I did not thank you for the arena. That was intentional. You made a choice to intervene. I did not ask for your protection. You're right. Should have let you take those plasma rounds yourself. Her jaw tightened. She moved toward him with fluid steps. We begin immediately. I need to assess what you actually know. Strip off your shirt. Riker raised an eyebrow. Need to see how you move without restrictions, she continued, clinical, and the extent of your injuries. He pulled the shirt over his head slowly. The plasma burns were still visible, angry red marks across his shoulder and ribs. Older scars crossed his chest and back. A roadmap of violence survived. Astrid's eyes tracked over him with professional detachment. She stepped close, fingers reaching out to trace the edge of the worst plasma burn. Her touch was light, but Riker felt it like electricity. You heal well for a human. Had practice. So I see. Her fingers moved to an older scar below his ribs. Military? Yes. I need to know if you follow orders or if you have issues with authority. Her eyes met his, inches away. I need to know if you can be trusted. Can you? The question hung between them. Astrid's expression shifted before she stepped back. Strike at me. What? Strike at me. Full force. Show me what made you a champion. Riker hesitated. I am not fragile, Astrid said, her voice dropping lower. Strike at me. Riker moved. Fast, a strike aimed at her midsection, pulled slightly because instinct screamed not to hurt her. She wasn't there. Her body flowed aside, one hand catching his arm, using his momentum against him. Riker hit the training floor hard. Before he could recover, she was on him, knee against his chest, hand at his throat. Pathetic, she said, heat in her voice now. You pulled that strike. You treated me like something delicate. Do that in the trials and you will die in the first round. Her face was inches from his, blue hair falling loose, those eyes blazing. He could feel her pulse where her wrist pressed against his neck. Again, she said, releasing him and standing smoothly. Riker rolled to his feet. You're faster than you look. I am faster than anyone you have faced, stronger, better trained, and I cannot compete myself because tradition dictates that royalty does not fight in the trials. She circled him slowly. So I chose you. Now prove I did not make a mistake. This time Riker didn't hold back. He came at her with combinations, high strike, low sweep, grappling attempt. She met him move for move. When she countered, it was with precision that left him bleeding from a split lip, gasping from strikes to nerve clusters. They fought for 20 minutes before she called a halt. Riker was bleeding, sweating, every healing injury screaming. Astrid was breathing harder, but otherwise unmarked. Better, she said, you adapt quickly. She moved to a side table, returned with medical supplies, gestured for him to sit. When he did, she knelt in front of him, began cleaning the split lip. This is tradition, she said quietly. The sponsor tends their champion's wounds personally. It builds trust. Does it work? Her eyes flicked up to meet his. That depends on the champion. Her fingers moved to check his ribs, pressing carefully. This close, he could smell that winter forest scent again, could see the flecks of darker blue near her pupils. You were at that arena for me, he said quietly. Her hands stilled. Yes. Why? Because I have been searching for a champion for 20 years. I have watched thousands of matches. You fight differently, like someone who has nothing to lose but refuses to surrender anyway. She resumed her work. That is what I needed. And the assassination attempt was genuine. My enemies discovered my plan to choose a human champion. They attempted to eliminate me before I could make it official. Her jaw tightened. They failed because you intervened. Footsteps echoed outside. Astrid stood quickly, putting distance between them. The doors opened and a Vulparan male entered. Tall, powerfully built, his armor marking him as nobility. His eyes swept over Riker with disdain before settling on Astrid. Princess, he said, I see you are training your pet. Astrid's expression went cold. Lord Corvus, you were not summoned. I come to formally protest your choice. This human insults our people. You should select a Vulparan warrior. My choice is made and approved by the king. Corvus stepped closer. When this human fails, the shame will fall on our entire civilization. Choose me as your champion, and I will bring honor to your name. The way he said it, the way his eyes traveled over Astrid, made his meaning clear. My choice stands, you are dismissed. The human will die in the arena. Riker stood. You have something to say, human. Just wondering if you always need this many words to say you're scared. Corvus's lips pulled back, revealing sharp canines. Scared of what? Of not being chosen, of watching a human succeed where you would have failed. Corvus took a step toward Riker, violence in every line of his body. I could end you where you stand. You could try. Enough. Astrid's voice cracked like a whip. She moved between them. You will leave immediately, or I will have you removed. Corvus stared at her. Then his eyes shifted to Riker. The trials will prove which of us was correct, Princess. I will enjoy watching your human bleed. He left, footsteps echoing away. Astrid didn't turn immediately. Riker watched her shoulders rise and fall with controlled breathing. That was unwise, she said finally. Probably. Corvus is dangerous, connected to powerful court factions that oppose my choice. Should I have kept quiet? She turned, something shifting in her expression. The ice was thinner, heat showing through. No, she said softly, but you should understand that defending me will make you more enemies here. I didn't defend you. I called him a coward. The corner of her mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Rest tonight. Tomorrow we begin real training. She moved past him toward the doors, then paused, looked back. And Riker, thank you for the arena. Then she was gone, leaving him alone in the training hall with aching ribs and questions multiplying faster than answers. Through the windows, jump space flowed past in rivers of light. Somewhere at the end of this journey was a world of ice and war, a princess bound by tradition, and trials that would determine if humanity deserved a seat at the galactic table. 2 months until the trials. It wouldn't be enough time. The Vulparan throne world was beautiful and brutal. Riker stood at his quarters window, watching dawn break over white forests and ice mountains. The palace was carved from glowing stone. 2 weeks of training that made arena fighting look like children's games. Astrid drilled him 6 hours daily. Vulparan combat techniques emphasizing speed over strength, strikes aimed at neural clusters, weapons work with unfamiliar blades. At night, exhausted, he dreamed of blue eyes and winter forests. The door chimed. Astrid entered without waiting. You're late. Training doesn't start for another hour. Today is different, she tossed him a practice blade. Southern training grounds, away from the palace. Minutes later, they flew over wilderness in a small transport. She landed on a plateau surrounded by ice cliffs, wind howling. This is insane, Riker said. The trials will have environmental hazards you need to fight through discomfort. She stepped onto ice. Begin. She attacked immediately. Riker barely deflected, then hit the ice hard from her leg sweep. The cold is affecting your reflexes. They fought for an hour. Riker fell repeatedly, but adapted. By the end, he'd disarmed her once. Better. You learn quickly. In the transport, she tended his bruises. Her touch professional, but charged with something else. Why did you really choose me, he asked. The real reason. Her hands stilled. Because when I watched your fights, I saw someone fighting not for glory, but because it was the only place you knew how to exist. I understood that. You're a princess. I was 8 when my father first put a blade in my hand, better than most adults, but I could never compete because royal daughters are for alliances, not arenas. Her voice softened. So I trained for 20 years, preparing for trials I could never enter. The space between them felt charged. What do you want, Astrid? Her eyes dropped to his mouth, then her expression shuddered. To win the trials, that is all that matters. They flew back in silence. That night, his door opened without warning. Astrid stood there in sleeping clothes, blue hair unbound. Her eyes were wide, control fractured. There was another attempt. Poison in your meal. The taster caught it. I'm fine. You could have died. Her hands trembled. They keep trying, and I cannot lose you before the trials. Is that only about the trials? No. She crossed the space between them. They crashed together, weeks of tension breaking, her hands fisted in his shirt, his fingers tangled in her hair. The kiss was desperate, hungry. She tasted like winter, her body pressed against his. He backed her against the wall, heard her breath catch. His hands found bare skin beneath her shirt. She made a sound low in her throat. They were moving toward the bed when she pulled back. Her chest heaved, eyes dark with desire but conflicted. Not yet. Why? Because if we do this now, it will complicate everything. Her hands contradicted her words, still touching him. After, when you have won, then. The promise in her eyes said everything. Riker stepped back. After, he agreed. She touched his face, gentle. I need you focused, sharp. At the door she paused. After the trials, there will be nothing standing between us. Then she was gone. Days blurred together. Training intensified. Every pin, every grapple was charged with unspoken tension. Lord Corvus challenged Riker to duels twice more. Twice Riker won barely. injuries that Astrid tended with barely controlled fury. 1 month before the trials, Riker wandered the palace archives looking for information on previous competitions. He found restricted files, unlocked by Astrid's access codes she must have forgotten to revoke. Inside, surveillance footage, months of it, Astrid at various human arena matches across multiple worlds, studying fighters, taking notes. A file labeled The Ghost. Timestamps showed she'd been tracking him for 5 months before the assassination attempt. His chest tightened. He found her personal logs. Subject demonstrates exceptional adaptability. Recommend continued surveillance. Subject displays protective instincts toward civilians. Behavioral pattern suggests strong moral code. Decision made. Subject designated primary candidate. Will arrange presence at Viridian Hub Arena match scheduled 4 weeks from now. She'd been at that arena because she'd planned it, tracking him, studying him like a specimen. The assassination attempt was real, but her presence wasn't coincidence. She'd chosen him long before he ever saved her. Everything he'd thought was fate had been calculation. Riker closed the files. She'd manipulated him, waited for a moment where his own honor would bind him, made him think saving her life meant something when she'd been using him all along. It was brilliant, ruthless, exactly what he should have expected from royalty. Dawn broke when he left the archives. 1 month before the trials. 1 month to decide if he could still fight for someone who'd played him from the beginning. He found Astrid in the training hall that morning. She saw him, smiled. Ready to begin? We need to talk. Her smile faded. About what? About why you were really at that arena, about the 5 months you spent tracking me. Color drained from her face. Then her shoulders straightened. You accessed the restricted files. Your codes were still active. So now you know. Her voice steady, but her hands trembled. What do you want to hear? The truth. She stepped closer. The truth is, I manipulated circumstances to get you here. I chose you months before that assassination attempt. I waited for the right moment. She took a breath. I used you. And everything since, last night, was that manipulation too? Fierce. Everything between us is real. But yes, I used you because I needed the best. You should have told me. Would you have come? If I'd approached you and said I'd been studying you for months, would you have trusted me? She had a point. He hated that. We leave for the trials in 3 days, Astrid said quietly. You can hate me if you want, but I still need you focused. Professional, he said, nothing more. Pain flashed across her face. If that is what you need. It is. She nodded, turned away, but he saw her hand tremble as she reached for a blade. They'd be professional, champion and sponsor, nothing more, even if it killed them both. The trials station hung in deep space like a steel moon, built by the oldest civilizations specifically for these games. Riker watched it grow larger through the viewport as their transport approached. 3 days of silence between him and Astrid. 3 days of professional detachment that felt like ice in his veins. She stood across the cabin watching the station. Her blue hair was bound in an intricate style, ceremonial. She wore formal robes that marked her as Vulparan royalty, elegant and untouchable. She hadn't looked at him once since they'd boarded. The transport docked. Guards escorted them through corridors packed with beings from across the galaxy. All stopped to watch as Astrid passed. Their quarters were luxurious, a suite with separate sleeping areas, training space, and windows showing the void beyond. Astrid dismissed the guards. The opening ceremonies are in 2 hours, she said, not looking at him. You'll be presented with the other champions. There are 11 other champions. The Saurian representative is named Kragath. He's the favorite, undefeated in 3 previous trials. She finally looked at him, eyes guarded. What? We can't do this, not like this. Do what? Pretend there's nothing between us. Her jaw tightened. There is nothing between us. You made that clear, professional, champion, and sponsor. That's not what What did you expect? Her voice cracked. You discovered I manipulated circumstances, so now you've withdrawn, and I am giving you exactly what you asked for. I never said I wanted distance. No, you just stopped touching me, stopped looking at me, spent 3 days treating me like a stranger. She turned away. I deserve that, but do not tell me there is something between us when you've made it clear there is not. Riker crossed the space, caught her arm, turned her to face him. You want to know why I've been distant? Because I'm trying to figure out what was real. Were those moments real, or just more manipulation? They were real, her eyes blazed. All of it was real. How am I supposed to know that? Because I am telling you. Yes, I manipulated circumstances. Yes, I tracked you for months. But everything after, every touch, every word, that was not calculation. That was me falling for someone I was supposed to only see as a weapon. Silence stretched between them. I did not plan to want you, Astrid said quietly. I planned to use you, but then you looked at me like I was more than a princess, and everything I'd calculated fell apart. Why didn't you tell me? Because I am a coward, she laughed bitterly. I could not find the courage to tell you that I chose you before you ever chose me. If you cannot trust me, I understand, but I need you focused for tomorrow. Riker looked at her, really looked, saw the fear beneath her royal composure. I can fight, he said, but not with you thinking I hate you. You should. Maybe, but I don't. He pulled her closer. I'm angry, hurt, but I don't hate you. What do you feel? Honestly, I don't know yet. He touched her face. But I can't stand another 3 days of silence, so we figure this out. Together, after I win your trials. When you win. When I win, he corrected. She leaned into his touch, eyes closing briefly. Win tomorrow, and we will figure out everything else. The opening ceremonies were held in an arena that made the Viridian hub look like a training room. Tiered seating rose in every direction, packed with thousands. Riker stood with 11 other champions on the arena floor. The variety was staggering, beings from barely 5 feet to over 9. Kragath stood directly across from him. The Saurian was massive, 9 feet of scaled muscle and natural armor. When his eyes fixed on Riker, there was nothing but predator assessment. When the announcer presented Riker and Astrid, the crowd's reaction was mixed. Murmurs, confusion, some laughter. Astrid's hand found his briefly, a touch so quick anyone watching might have missed it. An official explained the rules: individual combat rounds, escalating difficulty, elimination format, lethal force permitted. Victory in the final round meant elevated council status. First matches would begin at dawn. Back in their quarters, Astrid reviewed footage. Your first opponent is from an insectoid species, she said. Fast, armored blade arms. What are my actual chances? She was quiet. Based purely on physical capabilities, you should lose in the second round, but you do not fight based on physical capabilities alone. You adapt. You survive. Inspiring. She turned to look up at him. I have watched you take down opponents who should have killed you. Your chances are better than anyone believes. And if I lose? You will not. But if I do? She stood, pressed her fingers against his lips. Do not say goodbye before you have even fought. You are going to walk into that arena and you're going to come back to me. Her hand moved to cup his face. And when you do, we will finish what we started. No more distance, no more walls. Riker caught her wrist. Promise me something. If this goes wrong tomorrow, don't blame yourself. You gave me a purpose again. You are worth something, she said fiercely. Not as my champion, you, Riker Stone. She pulled him down, kissed him hard and desperate. Different from before. Goodbye and promise and fear all mixed together. When they separated, she pressed her forehead against his. Sleep, you need rest. Stay with me. Not like that, just stay. I don't want to spend tonight alone. She nodded. They moved to his sleeping area, lay down together fully clothed. She fit against him perfectly, her head on his chest. I am sorry, she whispered in the darkness, for manipulating you, for not telling you the truth sooner. I know. Her hand traced patterns on his chest, following old scars. When you win tomorrow, what will you claim as your reward? What do you mean? Tradition dictates that a champion may claim a reward from their sponsor. The galaxy will be watching. Many expect you to claim marriage, to bind our species politically. What do you expect me to claim?" She tilted her head up to look at him, eyes vulnerable in the darkness. "A real chance for me to choose you freely as you once chose to shield me. No politics, no duty, just choice. That's all I've ever wanted." She kissed him again, soft and slow, like a promise. Then she settled back against his chest. Riker didn't sleep much, but having Astrid in his arms was worth more than rest. Tomorrow he would fight, and he would win, because losing meant never finishing what they'd started, and that was unacceptable. Dawn came too quickly. Riker stood in the preparation chamber, checking his gear. The arena beyond roared with thousands of spectators. Astrid appeared in the doorway, dressed in sponsor regalia. "The insectoid champion is already in the arena." She moved closer, adjusting his chest guard. Her fingers lingered. "Remember what we trained, speed over strength, target the joints." Her eyes met his, fear beneath the composure. "Come back to me," she whispered. He caught her hand, brought it to his lips. The arena doors opened. Riker walked through into deafening noise. The insectoid champion waited, 7 feet of chitinous armor and blade arms. A horn sounded. The insectoid moved like lightning. Riker barely twisted aside, rolled, grabbed a weapon. They clashed in a flurry of strikes. The creature was fast, experienced. Riker took a slice across his shoulder. He adapted, used obstacles, watched for patterns, found them. When the opening came, his blade found the joint where leg met body. The insectoid collapsed. Riker finished it. The crowd erupted. Days blurred together. Riker fought opponents larger, stronger, some with natural weapons that should have killed him. But he survived, won. After each match, Astrid was there, tending his wounds, dropping the royal mask in their quarters. 4 matches left, she said one night, cleaning a plasma burn, including Kragath. "Tell me about him." "Massive, heavily armored, decades of experience, never lost. The odds give you 5% against him." "Better than 0. She looked up, fear in her eyes. "I cannot watch you die in that arena." "You won't." He caught her hand, pressed it against his chest. "I have something he doesn't, something worth fighting for beyond glory." Her breath caught. She leaned forward, rested her forehead against his. "Win, please." The semifinal match left Riker limping, bleeding from a dozen wounds. Astrid didn't speak as she tended him, just worked with fierce concentration. "Say it," Riker said. "I am thinking that tomorrow you face Kragath and you can barely stand, and I sent you into this knowing you might die. I chose this because I manipulated you into choosing it?" "Yes, and I'm still here. You want to know why?" She looked at him with eyes bright with unshed tears. "Because somewhere between that arena and this moment, I stopped fighting for humanity's council seat. I started fighting for you, for us. Tomorrow, I won't be thinking about odds. I'll be thinking about getting back to you. And that's going to be enough." She kissed him then, desperate and fierce. They came together, all restraint finally breaking, made love like it might be the last time. Afterward, tangled together, she whispered against his skin. "If you die tomorrow, I want you to know that I love you, not as my champion, you." Riker's chest tightened. "I love you too, and that's why I'm going to win." The final arena was larger, with more hazards. Riker stood at one end, Kragath waited at the other. The Saurian was everything promised. 9 feet of muscle and natural armor, scaled skin, claws that could tear through steel. His eyes held the confidence of someone who'd never lost. In the sponsor's box, Astrid sat among royalty. Riker felt her presence like gravity. The horn sounded. Kragath advanced with methodical certainty, cutting off angles. When he struck, it was with devastating power. Riker blocked, felt his arms go numb. The fight was brutal. Kragath was stronger, more experienced. Riker used everything Astrid had taught him: speed, unpredictability, targeting joints. It wasn't enough. Kragath's tail caught Riker across the ribs, sent him flying. He hit the wall hard, felt something crack, struggled to his feet only to take a claw strike that opened his shoulder. He went down. Kragath loomed over him, claws raised for the killing blow. In the stands, Astrid started to rise to throw the concession marker. But Riker's eyes found hers. She saw it. He wasn't done. Kragath's claws descended. Riker moved. A technique from his military days, combined with a Vulparan joint lock, applied to alien anatomy in a way no one had seen. Targeting the neural cluster at the base of Kragath's skull, accessible only from underneath at the exact moment of a downward strike. It shouldn't have worked. It did. Kragath's massive body went rigid, then crashed to the arena floor. Silence, then the arena erupted. Riker couldn't stand. Medical teams rushed in, but Astrid reached him first. She vaulted from the sponsor's box, ran across the arena floor, dropped beside him, cradled his bloodied face. She was crying. "You did it," she whispered. "You magnificent, stubborn fool." "Had to. Promised I'd come back." She kissed him in front of billions watching, not caring about protocol, just two warriors who'd found each other. Recovery took days. Riker woke in medical. Astrid sat beside his bed, holding his hand. "How long?" 3 days. You fractured ribs, dislocated shoulder, lost enough blood that human physiology shouldn't have survived." "Stubborn." "Yes." She smiled, eyes red from crying. "The Council has formally granted humanity its seat. They are calling you a hero." Footsteps approached. King Tiberius entered. "You have fulfilled your obligation, Mr. Stone. Now comes the matter of your reward. Tradition dictates that a champion may claim a reward from their sponsor. What is your claim?" Riker looked at Astrid. "I claim the right to court her, properly, not as champion and sponsor, as a man pursuing a woman he loves. No obligations. She gets to choose freely." Tiberius stared at him, then laughed. Unprecedented, but granted. The king left them alone. Astrid looked at Riker with eyes full of emotion. "Why didn't you claim marriage? You could have secured your position." "Because I want what we have to be real. I want you to choose me knowing everything, owing nothing." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I chose you months ago in that arena footage. Chose you when you shielded me. Chose you every day during training." Her voice broke. "I have been choosing you all along." She kissed him, soft and certain. "I choose you, Riker Stone, not because tradition demands it, not because you won, because you are worth choosing." Weeks later, at the formal council inauguration, Riker stood as humanity's first representative. Astrid sat in the Vulparan delegation. Their eyes met across the chamber. After she met him in the gardens, he pulled her close. She melted into him. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we figure out what comes next, together." "No more duty? Just us." She smiled against his lips. "I like the sound of that." Whatever the galaxy threw at them next, they'd face it together, fierce and free. Two warriors who'd found something worth fighting for beyond glory. Each other.